Hi guys and welcome back to our FIFA 18 Rebuilding Sunderland Career Mode January Transfer Window Part 2. And in the first part of the January Transfer Window we made 4 signings. We signed Jack Harrison, Alexander Isak, Ronaldo Vieira, and we got Junior Hoylett on a pre-contract. Now at the moment we don't have a massive transfer budget available, but if you did watch the last episode you'd know that there are a few players that are currently discussing contracts with other teams such as Wabi Kazri and Fabio Borini. So if you look there, we could potentially get about 20 million into the transfer budget there. Although obviously we won't get all of that, we'll probably end up getting about 15 million. And a couple of comments in the last episode suggested a couple more players for me to look at, and also made me realise that I have sort of started going back into my old ways of only purchasing players of a young age and hot prospects and wonder kids, which is something I kind of want to stay away from. I mean, the odd few, yeah, that's fine, it's happening, it's still mildly realistic, it happens in football, but I didn't want to just stick to that. So there are a couple here. Well, there's one in particular, which is Gary Rodriguez from Galatasaray, who I've looked at his stats. I know we can't see them there, but he is a very useful player, and especially for the back end of this championship season especially. He's got absolute pace to burn, and we don't have that much pace on the left hand side. We've been using Calvert-Lewin, who is actually obviously a striker, on that left hand side because we've been using McGeady as a sort of centre forward / cam role. Also someone who's been suggested, who yes is a young player but it's still a player I want to look at, and because it was suggested by one of you guys, is Rob Holding. Not gonna lie, he's not my favourite defender in the world, but he has been suggested and he would do a decent job in the championship. And yes, he is young, so he will grow into a player who I will like more, and I'm obviously going to use him anyway. And we do need to refill the position that Kone has left now. And there are obviously a few more players on the list that I do want to try and go for. I will go through the squad list now just to show you that we are now looking pretty good in terms of strength in depth. But I'm also starting to think that in some positions we're getting a little bit overcrowded, and we might have to make some decisions, maybe not in this window but in the next window, that I know a few of you may not be fans of. So if we look here, we've got 3 right backs, sorry 4 if you include Browning, but he is only on loan and we use him as a centre back anyway. So I was thinking about putting Matthews on the transfer list, but we do use Walker-Peters to the left back, so I've sort of refrained from doing that. Centre backs, we have Gilabodji, who is transfer listed, so I won't really be using him anyway. Beedling, O'Shea, Wilson, who I'm trying to not really use because I'm not his biggest fan. We've got Twansby as well, so our centre back partnership at the minute really is O'Shea and Twansby, and maybe Mark Wilson when needed. So we do need a little bit more quality in that position. Left back we have Galloway and Oviedo. Obviously Galloway is only on loan, and we do tend to use Kyle Walker-Peters and Oviedo and rotate them two, so that's fine. Now to CDM we have Ronaldo Vieira, who I really want to try and build up. McNair as well as another player who I want to build up rating wise anyway, and I do like McNair, who can play centre back as well, so I could use him to pair up with Twansby in the middle of defence. Catamol has been brilliant so far. Whether we'll keep him at the end of the season I'm not entirely sure, even though I am a big fan of his. Right mid is where we have a little bit of an issue now. We have McManaman, Honeyman, Watmore, and also who will be playing in a similar position is Jack Harrison. So that's 4 players that are vying for one position. So I don't think we'll do anything about that in this transfer window, but it's something that I want you guys to think about and maybe suggest getting rid of someone. I know Honeyman, he can play as a cam, but so can James Vaughan, so can McGeady, and Honeyman has only had a bit of a bit part role in this career mode. Yes, he can improve, he's 23, but when we get to the Premier League, if we get to the Premier League, is he really going to play a huge role for the team? I don't know, it's something we'd have to discuss I suppose. And we've also got Ndong Gibson in the middle as well, so that's 5 sort of CMs really and CDMs to put in the centre, and at the minute I'm playing a 4-2-3-1 really, so we only need 2. No, I like to have twice as many as we would need for that formation, so obviously we have 2 centre mids, so I like to have 4 available, possibly 5 at an absolute push. So I suppose that's okay for the time being, but Gibson is transfer listed, so if we do get a bit more money in, or we have some left over from trying to go for Holding and for Rodriguez, I might try and bring another centre mid in. Left mid we have Kazri and McGeady. Kazri we're getting rid of, McGeady we use as a cam really. So that's why I've gone for Rodriguez, or I'm going to go for Rodriguez. So then we have someone who's permanently there in that position. Because remember that Hoylett isn't coming in until next season. And Hoylett, by the way, don't think that he's just going to be our star left winger, because he's not. It was just an absolute bargain to get. He's just got good pace, decent dribbling, and I think he'd be someone really good to fall back on as almost a rotation player. It's definitely not a bad player to get as a rotation player. So strikers is where we do have a massive issue, really. We only play one striker. Occasionally we could play one of the strikers as the centre forward / cam, but look at how many we've got. We've got James Vaughan, Isaac, Calvert-Lewin, who yes we do play as a left winger I suppose as well, Callum Wilson, Josh Madger and Lewis Graben. So what I'm thinking of doing here, because look how many strikers we have. I know we have a Soro, but he's out on loan. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strikers all going for one position. So what I'm going to do is cancel Graben's loan. I don't know whether you'd be a fan of that, but if you look at the amount of players that we do have permanently, and we haven't really used Graben at all, he hasn't really done it for me when I have given him an opportunity, so I am going to cancel his loan. Hate me all you want, but I think with the signings we brought in and the rebuilding of the squad, where is he going to fit in? He's only going to be here for 6 months, so I'm going to terminate his loan. There we go, goodbye Graben. And as you can see on the calendar, we do have Cardiff, Hull City and Birmingham, and we are going to simulate every single one of these games. If it was a bit more tighter at the top, I probably would have played a couple of them and then simulated the other game, as well as taking part in the transfer window. But we are 10 points clear, so we are quite capable of taking the risk of losing games and dropping points. I just want to get a really good rebuild in this transfer window and focus on the transfers. So the first simulated game of the episode is against Cardiff. We have Reuter in goal, Matthews, Twansby, Wilson and Walker Peters across the back. We have Harrison making his debut, Catmull and Ndong in the middle, Calvert-Lewin on the left, McGeady as the centre forward with Wilson as the lone striker. Come on lads. And we draw the game, and it looks like McGeady has picked up a little bit of an injury as well. McGeady opened the scoring in the second half, and Bamba equalise late on in the game. Not a bad result. Let's hope McGeady's injury isn't too serious. And Wabi Kazri has been sold for 12.8 million, and we get 9.5 million of that. Now McGeady's injury, oh, it's only 3 days, so I just made a spit bubble. I don't know whether you can see that on camera. I just looked down and there's a big shiny bubble floating around. That's weird. And Darren Gibson isn't happy with his role at the club. Don't really care, to be honest with you, mate. Not your biggest fan. Okay, so on to the transfers. We have a little bit of money now in the budget, so we're going to go for Gary Rodriguez. Oh, but we've hit a little bit of a stumbling block with him. If you look, if we try to buy the player, it says the club isn't willing to sell this player, but you can pay his release clause of 13.8 million to start negotiating with the player directly. I am sorry, especially to the guy who suggested this player. He did suggest a few other players as well, but this was my favourite of his suggestions, and I'm not willing to spend 13.8 million on a player that's probably just gonna be amazing in the Championship. He is 27, so will he continue to grow in the Premier League? Maybe not, but it looks like we're going to have to look elsewhere, which is such a shame because I was so set on trying to go for this player. We will go for Rob Holding though. We'll approach to buy, have a chat with Arsene and see if he'll give us his player. We don't have any information because I haven't really had time to scout, so I'm not sure exactly what he's worth. I will estimate, I think he's only rated 71 or 72, so we might go for, we'll say 3.5 million and hopefully he doesn't storm out. He wants 5.1 million and a sell-on clause of 13%. Oh, Arsene, you do drive a hard bargain, mate. We will counter with a 4 million. See if he doesn't get his knickers in a twist. 5 million. Mate, come on, you're so stingy. You've got so much money in your bank and you never spend it. 4.5 million. Take it, mate. Come on. That's a better offer. We'll accept the transfer fee. How about 10% of Holding's next transfer fee? That's fine, that will do. So 4.5 million for a decent young centre-back isn't the worst at all. Hopefully we can get his contract talks going successfully as well. Right, he wants an important role at the club, that's fine because I want to keep him playing centre-back regularly and form a partnership with Twansby. We're making good progress. How many years? He's a young lad, I'll offer him 4 years. No doubt he'll want like 1 year or 2 year like the rest of them. 2 years. I'll accept that. No one wants to stay at this club for long, do they? Really not liking it. My client isn't looking for a release clause, that's good. He wants 67,000. That is the only problem with buying players from big club. He wants 67,000 a week. We would require a 610,000 bonus. I'll counter it, try and get his wage down a little bit, but I don't know how much he already earns at Arsenal, so we could already earn that, or around that amount. Try 45k. Take that down a little bit to 550. Don't want to offend him too much though. Right, he's only going to settle for 67k. Right, we'll do it. We'll do it. You guys suggested it. Well, one of you guys suggested it. You wanted Holding, we've got Holding, so we better be good now, fella. And we now have Rob Holding, officially 22 years of age, is rated 73. Not a bad player at all, and a very good player to have at the club, so I'll take that. So what I'm probably going to do, guys, is try and buy a few players from the shortlist, if it's possible, obviously. But then once this episode and the transfer window has finished, but what I need you guys to do is to start leaving comments on who to get rid of at the end of the season, even if it's going to be difficult, even if it's going to be the likes of Catamol, who's a little bit of a fan favourite, Honeyman, maybe, or just anyone. Just then I have an idea of who you think we should and shouldn't get rid of, because we're going to end up with 5 or 6 players vying for each position. I'm not going to do it myself in this transfer window. They're probably going to get really unhappy throughout the season because they might not get played. But just give me an idea of what you think we should do on that. Okay, another player that I do really like, he is a youngster and someone who is probably going to be for the future, but it is Oriol Busquets. I'm not sure whether he's related to Sergio Busquets of Barcelona B. He's 18 years of age and only worth 1.5 million. So we will go for him. If he's anything like Sergio Busquets, then it's a cracking investment if you ask me. Right, we'll start the bidding at 2 million. He thinks that's fair. 2 million. That will do. Let's negotiate with Busquets. He wants a sporadic squad role. That's absolutely fine by me. It's pretty accurate. We'll offer 5 years. He'll probably take it really badly, but because no one wants to stay at the club more than a couple of years. 3 years. Alright, that'll do. That's fine. He's not looking for a release clause, which is great again. Right, so we don't know what he's on at the minute. I can't imagine him being on a massive amount because he's playing for Barcelona B. And he's only 18. I'll try, so we'll say 10k a week, and we'll give him 80k. Submit offer, see what he says. He's happy with that, that'll do. And it looks like we're getting Oriol Busquets. And there he is, another good signing for us. He's another youngster, don't get me wrong, but he's rated 68, only 18, and could potentially be an absolutely excellent player, so I'm really happy with that. Someone who will definitely work on in the player training. And there is confirmation of Barini going back to Milan. We cancelled his loan, and then AC Milan immediately made an offer of 8 million. We are going to get 5.5 million back off that, which is good. And we've also received a transfer offer for Darren Gibson, which is probably perfect timing considering we've just signed another centre mid, 3.3 million. I think that's pretty fair just in itself. So I think I'm just going to accept that as it is. Accept. So now we do have a decent amount of money in the transfer budget there, quite a big wage budget as well. I'm just getting worried now that we are really going to start overcrowding the squad, but I'm only going to repeat what I said before. So yeah, so just keep making comments on who you think we should be getting rid of at the end of the season. I have an idea in my head, but it's just what you guys would want me to do as well, obviously. Transfer offer for Papi Djilabodji, 6.7 million from West Ham. He is worth 6 million. We could get another couple of million out of them, so we will try that. Okay, so they've agreed on 8 million for Djilabodji, which isn't bad at all. Okay, so our next simulated game is at home at the Stadium of Light against Hull. Here is the team. We've got Reuter, Alexander-Arnold, Swansea, Holding, Walker-Peters, Harrison, our new signings, Busquets and Vieira, Calvert-Lewin on the left, and McGeady just behind another new signing, Alexander Isaac. Let's see if we can get a goal in his debut. And we lose 3-1. That's a risky take with simulating games, but I suppose it gives us a little bit more of a challenge when it comes to the league, because we're starting to run away with it a little bit. Let's just see how the league is looking at the minute. So you probably won't be able to see this because of the face cam, but we are on 62 points, top of the league. Fulham 55 points, so they're 7 points behind us, followed by Brentford with 51. So we're still a decent way in front at the top of the championship. Okay, so I have just added a certain someone to the shortlist. And I'm sure a lot of my viewers are Sunderland fans, and I'm sure none of you would disagree when I say that this guy is absolutely amazing and should have played for us and signed back for us at the beginning of last season. It was an absolute shame that he didn't, to be honest with you, and apparently the club messed him around here, there and everywhere, and he was absolute quality for us. And I did just go through the episodes again and some of the comments, and Villa actually come up a good 3 or 4 times throughout the series. So he does have a release clause of 14.2 million. I am going to see if we can get him any cheaper. If not, we can wait out a little bit longer and then return if we do manage to get some more funds. And they are not happy with a 7 million bid, which doesn't surprise me at all. So what we'll do, we'll wait for some more time to pass and hopefully manage to get a little bit more funds, and then we'll go back in for him. And it looks like Djilabodji's move to West Ham has broken down. Just yet another player that has messed up his contract talks, so it's not a surprise for me. Darren Gibson has been sold, so we've got 2.3 million allocated to our transfer budget. And next up, we do have a game against Villa in the FA Cup, which are games that I don't really want to simulate because I don't want to see us go out of the FA Cup so early, especially if it's not my doing. But I am going to simulate it just for the purposes of this transfer window episode. So here we are again, it's pretty much the same team as the last game. Reuter, Arnold, Twansby, Holding, Walker-Peters, Harrison, Busquets, Vieira, Calvert-Lewin, McGeady and Isaacs. We're just trying out a few of the new players really in this squad. And they drew the game 2-2, so it looks like we are going to be getting a replay with Aston Villa. McGeady opened the scoring, Bjarnason equalised for Villa, and then ex-Sunderland player El Mohammadi got Villa in front, and then our Lord and Saviour, Callum Wilson, made it 2-2. Thank God we're not out. So there is the offer for Lee Cattermole still. 6.9 million from Besiktas. Do I get rid of him? Do I not? I'm going to reject it. I don't want to cause absolute chaos in the comments. I'm going to reject it for the time being. Just trying to wait for a little bit more money to come through, if possible, before the deadline, and we could possibly squeeze in Jan and Villa if we can. So this is our wage budget at the moment. Can we get Mvia? It's currently valued at 11 million, and I presume his wage will be huge as well. Is there anyone we could interest him in a player swap? We'll have a look now. Would they be interested in Lee Cattermole? Let's have a see. Listen, we can consider swapping Mvia, but we're looking to bring in a striker. Plenty of strikers, but none that I think they'd be necessarily interested in. Try James Vaughan. So only consider swapping Vaughan for Mvia, and plus 14 million. Well, that definitely ain't happening. Proposed new transfer fee. Try 10 million plus Vaughan. See what he says. 14.9. Gonna have to end the negotiation, guys. This is gonna be a real struggle. I know I'm putting all my hopes on Mvia at the minute, but I think it's just someone who would be absolutely brilliant for the series, and it makes sense to bring back a fan favourite like Mvia to the club. We'll give it a couple more hours, 2-3 more hours, and see if we can get any more funds in. Then otherwise we might just leave it at that. And it looks like John O'Shea has been approached by Burnley with a pre-contract agreement. So as soon as his contract expires, he'll be going to Burnley if things go well for him anyway, which I suppose I'm happy with letting him go. That's absolutely fine. The transfer talks have broken down, so no, that won't be happening. Okay guys, it looks to me like we're not going to be able to end up getting Mvia, which would be absolutely amazing. There's only, I think, 5 hours left. We'll try 1 more hour, see if we can get any money in the last minute. We'll see. An offer for Djilabodji, 5.7 million. Would we be able to get the contract talks and everything out of the way before we can get Mvia? I'm not too sure. We'll negotiate, try and get a tiny bit more for him, and then hopefully we can somehow squeeze the deal through. 7 million, that'll do. Accept. Now, can they squeeze the contract talks in? I think it will take a while, because we know that we can get the transfer talks with Mvia done immediately. Come on, just go. It looks like it is not going to happen, guys. A very, very frustrating end to the transfer window. We do have an hour left, and I could quite easily just go in for another player, but I think it'd just be a waste of money, and we'd just be getting players for the sake of it, really. Now, I've just had one more look over some of the suggestions over the last few episodes, And another player who was mentioned once or twice, he wasn't really mentioned too much, but we were looking to get another left winger, and Scott Sinclair fits the bill perfectly. It's a shame about Gary Rodriguez. He's a player I really wanted, but we don't have 13.8 million to throw down the drain. We'll go for Sinclair and see what we can do. We are in the last hour of the transfer window, and every other position really we've got quite a decent amount of backup. So we'll offer what we can for Sinclair. First we'll start off with something like, I don't know how much it'd be worth, that's the thing, because we haven't had time to scout him. I could be throwing money down the drain, I might be offering a stupidly small amount for him as to what he's actually worth. So we'll try 7.5, submit the offer, see what he says. 10.4, which we could give him, but then we'd have next to nothing to play around with in the contract offers and the contract negotiations. So we'll counter that with a little bit less. He wants 10.4. We will offer 9 million. He's happy with 9 million. That is really good. Now, can we get him through his contract talks? Come on, Scott. Just come to the club, mate. We wanted one last ditch signing, and this would be a perfect one for me. I think he would be crucial, considering what we've got on the left-hand side. It's perfect for him. He's happy with that. He wants 2 years. That's fine. He's not looking to add a release clause. Perfect. Swimmingly so far. He wants 71,000 a week, a 620,000 signing bonus, and 490k after 5 goals. Accept. That's our money gone. That is the transfer window done. Unfortunately, we couldn't get MVA, which I thought would have been an excellent bit of work. But we do have Scott Sinclair, who is going to be absolutely excellent for us in this career mode, I would think, especially for the second half of the Championship season. And I think he can still do a job in the Premier League, again, if we get there. So now, at least for the Premier League, we'll have Sinclair and Hoylett for the same position. So our left-hand side is going to be pretty much covered, and Calvert-Lewin, who we can play as a left winger. So now our strength in depth is just going to be massive for the Premier League already, and for the back end of this Championship. So that is the end of the transfer deadline day and the end of this episode. Now, I am going to leave a poll in the top right hand corner for you guys to tell me who you think was the best signing of the January transfer window. So just remember, we do have Jack Harrison that we signed, Alexander Isaac, Ronaldo Vieira, Rob Holding, Oriel Busquets, and Scott Sinclair, as well as Junior Hoylett, who's been signed on a pre-contract as well. And he can also play left mid, right mid, and as a cam, which I wasn't sure about, so it's a good bit of versatility to have up top with Hoylett. So again, that is the end of the episode. If you have enjoyed, please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel and you would like to become a fully fledged member of the Sony Army, and hit that notification bell so you're up to date with all up and coming episodes. But for now, you take care and stay jammy.